Hey everybody, this is Jim at SP500chart.com. It's January 16th, about 4:15 here on the East Coast. Before we look at the chart, I just always need to remind you that the website and the video are for educational purposes only, and nothing stated at the site or in the video is intended to be used as investment advice. I can draw lines on charts, but you have to draw your own conclusions from your own research. And you need to make investment decisions that are suitable for your personal financial situation. Just remind you again, I am not a licensed financial professional. I am just a guy who draws lines on charts. Okay, we are looking at a 10-minute chart. You're looking at this and you're probably going, wait a minute, well, that's not the same chart as yesterday. Well, the data obviously isn't, because it includes what happened today. But it is the same chart, but I've cleaned it up, and I've also added 4 new lines that describe what has taken place over the past week, 2 weeks plus. I think in a little bit better terms than what I had been keeping on the chart, because if you'll remember, we've been going through what appeared to be a series of breakdowns and back tests and breakdowns and back tests, and it was as if, this just isn't working. Because what is a chart after all? A chart is you're trying to define with trend lines the underlying psychology of what the market is doing. And sometimes you get it right off the bat and things work beautifully, and other times you kind of fuss with it and you go, this isn't quite working. So I backed up, took off a lot of the shorter term and very short to intermediate term lines, and really sort of erased almost everything that took place over the past 2.5 weeks, and thought, well, let's just go with 2 known tops and using this as a bottom, because obviously we came down here and then we started back up, then we came down again, now we're starting back up. So I figured, well, we'll just use these couple of last tops and dips, see what we get, and lo and behold, we end up with a rising wedge. Then I did the thing where, as you know, I tend to think that often when you get a wedge pattern, you also have kind of like a backbone to it, which often is right down the middle of the pattern. It's almost like if you put a line there, and if everything seems to getting more and more compact as the pattern moves up into the apex of the wedge, often that midpoint will also give you a clue. Well, I did that this time, and it didn't really work. But what I noticed is that there are still some midpoint areas that are working, but they're just not in the middle. It's almost like if we divide this pattern into almost thirds, then instead of it happening at the midpoint, we're getting some technical significance that's being demonstrated more 1/3 the way up and throughout this pattern. For example, here's our top line that defines the space that's 1/3 below our resistance line. We have a touch here, 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 here. Then once we have a bunch of touches here. Then we get under it. We have 1, 2, and you could even say today 3, maybe even 4 touches. Then with this bottom line here, which is 1/3 the way from the support line to the resistance line, here, 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 here. Then today. So this is just really interesting. So with this in mind, I'm kind of changing my not my overall outlook because I still think we are due to turn down. The question is, where do we try to find a trend line that gives us a clue that we indeed are now turning down? Well, if this is a bona fide, for real ascending wedge, the first thing is it's got a little bit more to go if it wants to. Oftentimes, wedges will have at least 5 or 6 turns. So far, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I suspect we could very well get that 5th turn. But let's watch this bottom line here. I think that will probably be the one that kind of tells the story. At least I'm hoping I've got it this time. But you can see it's really interesting too. The past four sessions have started out with a dip and then a recovery, then a dip, then a recovery, then a dip, then a recovery, then a dip, now a recovery. Let's see what happens tomorrow. This is all very, very interesting to watch unfold. So I think we are in a rising wedge, so making this a larger, if you will, typhoon flag after the January 1 gap up. If we look at things on a little bit tighter time frame, excuse me, not tighter, a little bit longer time frame, you can see again where we are with respect to this gap up and where we are with respect to a potential inverted head and shoulders pattern. You know, I would love to see this market come back, shave off 35, 40 points or so, and come back to either this line right here or this ascending trend line right here. Because that ascending trend line actually has a pretty decent shape to it in relationship to what the market has done since the middle of November. That, and coupled with, can't grab it, come to daddy. Coupled with this line, which is right now around 1440 or so, we've got some real reasons to expect some support if we get down into the 1440s. So I'm hoping that this, quote, typhoon flag does break down. We end up coming down to 1440 and there shows signs of a recovery where we then could come back and attack 1472 again. And if we do that, you can see that could have the shape of a pretty nice inverted head and shoulders pattern. So guys, that's really the video for today. The news here is essentially on a day where the markets were almost flat, certainly closed flat. Where I think until we break this bottom line and have a day of significant downward movement, I think the market is going to just get squeezed out into this little pattern here. And so that's as best as I can tell what we're dealing with as of the close on January 16th, 2013. Seems to make sense to me. And I just want to remind you, as you certainly know, technical analysis, like fundamental analysis, like tea leaves, like monkeys throwing darts on dartboards, doesn't always work. Well, the monkeys throwing darts sometimes works. I think technical analysis works quite well. But, this to me looks like a better interpretation of the chart now. So kind of, it's not way off from what we've been looking at, but it's just got a little bit different shape to it, has a little bit more headroom to it as well. So let's see what happens as we go into the market, into trading tomorrow. Hey, thanks for watching. Take care, and look for the video after tomorrow's close. That'll be Thursday, January 17th. Thanks a lot.